Saturday's UFC Fight Night 120 fight card might not be as star-studded as the recent UFC 217 blockbuster, but it's still a deep card full of recognizable names worthy of your attention. In the main event, former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis looks to show that he's still a player in the 155-pound division despite a record of 1-3 in his four most recent lightweight contests. Pettis' opponent, Dustin Poirier, is anxious to keep climbing the divisional rankings since returning to lightweight in 2015. In the co-main event, two veteran brawlers meet in a welterweight bout that might be the final fight for one of them. Matt Brown might call it a career after his bout against Diego Sanchez, but then again, he might not. UFC Fight Night 120 takes place at Ted Constant Convocation Center in Norfolk, Virginia. It airs on FS1 following early prelims on UFC Fight Pass. Here are 10 reasons to watch the event. With a move up the 155-pound rankings on the line, the headlining bout between Poirier 21-5 MMA, 13-4 UFC and Pettis 20-6 MMA, 7-5 UFC is a must-watch. Poirier is currently number 13 in the most recent USA Today Sports/MMA Junkie MMA lightweight rankings. Former lightweight champ Pettis checks in at number 11. After a two-fight run at featherweight, Pettis returned to form in his most recent fight, a decision win over Jim Miller. Pettis looked loose and relaxed in that bout. He employed a high-pressure and unconventional striking game that harkened back to his glory days. As for Poirier, he's coming off an exciting fight with former champ Eddie Alvarez that unfortunately ended in a no contest in the second round after Alvarez landed illegal knees to Poirier's head. Before the Alvarez fight, Poirier was on a 5-1 run at 155 pounds. During that stretch, he looked like a complete and confident fighter. This bout should let us know if Pettis is indeed back to form. Imagine how glorious a fight between Brown 20-16 MMA, 13-10 UF and Sanchez 27-10 MMA, 16-10 UFC would have been just a few years ago. Between 2013 and 2014, Brown took home a bonus in each of his 4 bouts. Sanchez earned bonuses in 6 of his 9 fights between 2009 and 2013. Neither has picked up a bonus since then. That's not to say this welterweight matchup is going to be a snoozer. Fans are almost guaranteed a slobber knocker, but with Brown's record at 1-5 in his 6 most recent bouts and Sanchez 3-3 in his past 6, it feels like this fight would have been more fun had it come a little sooner. Brown is the more technical striker of the two while Sanchez tends to bite down on his mouthpiece and throw caution to the wind. Brown suffered the first 2 knockout losses of his career in his 2 most recent outings. Sanchez was also knocked out in his 2 most recent setbacks. In his UFC debut, Junior Albany scored a first-round knockout of Timothy Johnson. He earned a sorely needed performance of the night bonus that night. I was never able to buy her a toy or something like that, Albany said of his daughter following his win. All of her toys were like shampoos, empty bottles, because we didn't have much money. My wife was following my dream too together, so it means a lot to me right now that I can make a living and give back to them what they suffered together with me. Albany 14-2 MMA. 1-0 UFC faces former heavyweight champion and current rankings honorable mention Andrei Arlovski 25-15 MMA, 14-9 UFC, who, with 5 straight losses on his record 4 by stoppage, is in the worst slump of his lengthy career. As an aside, hopefully the UFC gets Albany a pair of shorts that fit for this fight. Rafael Assunção hoped a win over Marlon Moraes at UFC 212 would earn him a bantamweight title shot. And, he did win, but a title shot didn't materialize. Instead, the number 4 ranked Brazilian faces rankings honorable mention Matthew Lopez in Norfolk. Assunção is currently on a 9-1 run. His sole defeat was a unanimous decision defeat to current bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw in 2016. That loss came after injuries kept the 35-year-old from the octagon for more than 21 months. Lopez might not be the opponent Assunção wanted, but he can't take the 30-year-old American lightly. Lopez dropped his UFC debut, a short-notice fight to Rini Yahya. Since then he's gone 2-0. After his recent first-round TKO of Johnny Eduardo, Lopez 10-1 MMA, 2-1 UFC called for a bout with any fighter above him in the rankings. We'll find out if he bit off more than he can chew with Assunção. 25-5 MMA, 9-2 UFC. Clay Guida 33-17 MMA, 13-11 UFC vs Joe Lozon. 27-13 MMA, 14-10 UFC is the kind of fight with which you look at the matchup and think, these guys aren't what they used to be. But I like it. Guida has had a rough run as of late. After he dropped decisions to Benson Henderson in 2011 and Gray Maynard in 2012, he decided to give featherweight a go. The results were less than ideal. Guida wrapped up his run at 145 pounds with a record of 3-4. He moved back to